The trading station floated in space like a small metal city. Ships came and went every hour, carrying goods from 100 different worlds. Inside, the corridors buzzed with activity. Humans walked alongside aliens of every shape and color. Some had scales, some had fur, and some looked like walking crystals. Pressed herself against the cold wall of Corridor 7, trying to become invisible. She watched the food distribution center from the shadows. Her stomach hurt. She had not eaten in 2 days. Her own species were receiving their weekly rations. She could smell the protein bars from where she hid. She looked different from the other. Where their shells were dark blue and purple, hers had pale white markings across the carapace. The markings looked like frost patterns on glass. To her people, these markings meant she was broken, defective, worthless. Elder stood at the distribution point, his shell gleaming with authority. He handed out rations to each who approached. They touched their heads in respect and moved away. Knew better than to approach. Last time he had struck her with his staff. The bruise still ached on her side. But hunger was stronger than fear. She waited until most had collected their food. Then she stepped forward, keeping her head low. Her hands shook as she reached out. "No," Elder's voice was hard as stone. "Please," whispered, "I have not eaten in." Defectives do not eat from the common supply. He turned his back to her. "You weaken us all with your presence." A human man stopped walking. He had been passing by with a cargo container on a floating platform. He was tall for a human, with black hair and kind eyes. His jacket said Park Shipping on the back. "Excuse me," the human said. "Did you just refuse her food?" Elder turned slowly. His face showed no emotion. "This is business, human. Do not interfere." "She looks hungry," the human said. He spoke calmly, but there was steel in his voice. "She is defective. Her markings show genetic weakness, feeding her wastes resources that should go to the strong." Elder spoke as if explaining something obvious to a child. The human stared at him for a long moment. "That's the most messed up thing I've heard all week." He looked at, "Come with me." Froze, was this a trick? Humans were strange creatures. Other aliens said they were weak and emotional, but the taught that emotions were dangerous. "It's okay," the human said gently. I have extra food on my ship. You look like you could use a meal." Elder made a clicking sound of disapproval. "Do not contaminate her with your human weakness. Let nature take its course." His jaw tightened. "Nature, this isn't nature, this is cruelty." He looked at again. "The offer stands, no one should go hungry." Looked between them. The elder's face showed disgust. Face showed something she had rarely seen. It looked like concern, like he actually cared if she lived or died. She took a small step toward, then another. The elder made a harsh sound and walked away, leaving the remaining rations behind. Smiled, "Good choice. My ship is this way." They walked through the station corridors, kept expecting this to be some kind of punishment, but just walked beside her, occasionally pointing out different ships through the windows. He talked about his cargo runs like they were old friends chatting. His ship was small but clean. The cargo bay had been converted partly into living space. There was a small kitchen area, some chairs, and a table that folded from the wall. "Sit," said, pointing to a chair. "I'll heat something up." Sat carefully. The chair was made for humans, but it fit well enough. She watched move around the kitchen. He pulled out packages from a cooling unit and put them in a heating box. "So," he said while they waited, "what's your name?" Her voice was rough from disuse. She did not speak often. "Nice to meet you, but I said that already." He grinned. "Do you like noodles? I have some instant, not fancy, but it's hot and filling." She did not know what was, but she nodded. The heating box beeped, pulled out a steaming bowl and placed it in front of her with chopsticks. "Careful, it's hot." The smell made her stomach clench with need. She picked up the chopsticks awkwardly. Her people did not use tools to eat, but she had watched humans before. She managed to lift some noodles to her mouth. It was the best thing she had ever tasted. Sat across from her with his own bowl. He ate quietly, not staring at her like she was some kind of curiosity. They ate in comfortable silence. "How long has it been," he finally asked, "since they started treating you like this?" Swallowed, "Since the markings appeared 5 years ago, when a reaches adult size their final colors show. Mine came wrong." "There's nothing wrong with your colors," said firmly. "They're actually beautiful like ice crystals." She looked down at her pale patterns. She had always thought they were ugly. The elder said they showed her weak blood. "On Earth, where I'm from," continued, "we used to think like that too, a long time ago. We treated people badly because they looked different. It took us a long time to learn how stupid that was, how much it hurt everyone." "But you are all the same species," said. "Yeah, but we divided ourselves anyway. By skin color, by where we were born, by all sorts of dumb reasons." He shook his head. "We finally figured out that every person has value, no matter what they look like or where they come from." These ideas were strange too. Value. Every knew that value came from strength and genetic purity. The individual meant nothing. Only the species mattered. "I can see you don't believe me," said. "That's okay, but I meant what I said. You're welcome here anytime you need food or just someone to talk to." "Why?" the question burst from her. "Why help me? I am nothing. I am defective." His face grew serious. "Listen to me. You're not defective. You're not nothing. You're a person who deserves to eat and be safe and be treated with kindness. That's true for every living being with a mind and feelings. At least, that's what we humans believe." Tears burned in his eyes. She did not cry often, did not cry, but something in his words reached a place deep inside her that she had thought was dead. "Thank you," she whispered. "Any time," said. "Finish your noodles. I'll pack you some extra food to take with you." As ate, she felt something new growing inside her. It was small and fragile, but it was there. Hope. Maybe, just maybe, she was not worthless after all. Maybe this strange human was right. 3 weeks passed. Came to ship almost every day now. At first she only came for food, but slowly she began to stay longer, would talk about his travels, about the different worlds he had seen. Sometimes he would teach her human words. Sometimes they just sat in comfortable silence. One day arrived to find another human on the ship. A woman with short hair was bent over an open panel, tools spread around her. She looked up when entered. "Oh, hello," the woman said brightly. "You must be Im's co-pilot and engineer." Tensed, she was not used to meeting new people. Most beings avoided her or treated her with disgust. "It's okay," said from the kitchen area. "'S good people. She's been helping me fix the cooling system." Wiped grease from her hands. "Told me about you. I'm glad you've been coming around. This ship gets pretty boring with just him to talk to." "Hey," protested, but he was smiling. Over the following days, grew comfortable with two. The engineer was different from, more talkative and quick to laugh, but just as kind. She showed how the ship systems worked. She taught her about engines and navigation. "You're really smart," said one day, watching quickly understand a complex diagram. "Have you ever thought about learning a trade? Engineering, maybe?" Shook her head. "They would never allow it. I'm not permitted to work or learn, only to exist." "That's such a waste," said, frustrated. "You could do so much." One evening was teaching about human culture. He showed her pictures of Earth on a data screen. Blue oceans, green forests, cities filled with lights. "Do all humans live together like this?" asked. "Different-looking ones in the same cities?" "Yeah," said. "We learned that diversity makes us stronger, not weaker. Different people bring different ideas, different ways of solving problems. Our best discoveries came from people working together, combining their unique perspectives." "They believe the opposite," said quietly. "They say uniformity creates strength, that difference is weakness." "And yet," added, "humans are one of the most successful species in the galaxy. We spread across dozens of worlds in just a few generations. Maybe compassion and cooperation work better than their way. These ideas fascinated. She began to see how narrow her world had been. The thought that their way was the only way, but humans proved that other paths existed. "What is this word?" asked, pointing to text on the screen. Equality, said. It means everyone has the same value, the same rights. No one is worth more or less because of how they were born. "We have no such word in language," said. "That explains a lot," muttered. That night after left the ship, Elder was waiting in her usual sleeping spot. The abandoned storage bay was cold and empty. He was not alone. One of the enforcers stood beside him. "You have been seen with the humans," Elder said. His voice echoed in the empty space. His heart raced. They gave me food." "You were told to accept your place," the Elder continued. "Instead, you contaminate yourself with human ideas, with their weakness." "They are not weak," said before she could stop herself. "They are kind." The Elder's face twisted with anger. "Kindness is weakness. You have learned nothing." He nodded too. "Remind her of what she is." Moved fast, his fist caught in the stomach. She gasped, falling to her knees. Another blow hit her back, then another. "Defectives must remember their place," said. Each word came with another strike. "You exist on our mercy. Do not forget." Curled into a ball, trying to protect her head, the beating continued. Pain exploded across her body. She heard something crack in her ribs. Finally, it stopped. Through blurred vision, she saw them leave. Elder looked back once. "Stay away from the humans," he said, "or next time will be worse." They disappeared into the corridor, lay on the cold floor, struggling to breathe. Every movement brought fresh agony. She tasted blood. She knew she should stay here, accept this. That was what a good would do, but words echoed in her mind. "You're a person who deserves to be treated with kindness." Using the wall for support, dragged herself upright. Each step was torture. She left a trail of blue blood behind her, but she kept moving, toward the docking bay, towards ship. She made it to his door and collapsed, using her last strength to press the entry button. Found her there minutes later. His face went pale. "Oh God, what happened?" He lifted her carefully, carrying her inside. Appeared from the sleeping quarters, took one look, and ran for the medical kit. They laid on the couch, gently cleaned the blood while scanned her with a medical device. "2 broken ribs," said, her voice tight with anger. "Multiple contusions, some internal bleeding but not life-threatening." "Who did this?" asked, but he already knew. Whispered, "Elder ordered it because I came here, because I spoke with you." His hands clenched into fists, put a hand on his shoulder. "Don't do anything stupid." "They can't just," started. "They can," said. "In law I have no rights. They can do what they want with me." Finished bandaging wounds. She gave her something for the pain. As the medicine began to work, felt the agony fade to a dull ache. "You can't go back there," said. It was not a question. "I have nowhere else," said. "You're staying here tonight," said firmly. "We'll figure out the rest tomorrow." But's face had changed. Could see something hard in his eyes now, something determined. "We're getting you off this station," he said quietly, "permanently." "That's impossible," said. "They would never allow it." "I don't care what they allow," said. "No one deserves this. We'll find a way." Nodded slowly. "He's right. There has to be something we can do." Looked at them both. These strange humans who barely knew her, who were willing to risk themselves for her sake. They had taught her that such behavior was foolish, illogical, weak. But lying there, safe for the first time in years, thought that maybe weakness was not what she had been taught. Maybe real strength was standing up for someone who could not stand up for themselves. "Thank you," she whispered, "for everything." "Get some rest," said gently. "Tomorrow we start planning." As drifted into an exhausted sleep, she heard and talking in low voices. They were already working on ideas, making plans. fighting for her when no one else ever had. For the first time in 5 years, felt something besides fear and shame. She felt hope. Woke to the smell of coffee and the sound of voices. Her ribs still hurt, but the sharp pain had dulled. She sat up slowly on the couch where she had slept, and were at the table with a third person, a woman in a security uniform. "This is," said. "She's station security. Don't worry, she's here to help." Was a human woman with tired eyes and a serious face. She had a data pad in front of her covered in notes. "I've been documenting what they do to you," said directly. "For months. Every time they deny you food, every time they push you away from public spaces. But the station has a non-interference policy. We're not supposed to get involved in cultural matters between species." "That's garbage," said. "This isn't culture, it's abuse." Nodded. "I agree. That's why I'm here. If you want to get off this station, I can help. But we need to do it right." She activated her data pad. A station map appeared, showing cargo bays and docking routes. "Every ship leaving the station gets scanned," explained. "Biosignatures are checked against passenger manifests. If it's on your ship without proper authorization, alarms will sound immediately." "So we need authorization," said. "Or we need the scanners to be offline," replied. "In 3 days, the station is doing a system-wide upgrade. All security systems will restart in sequence. There will be a 12-minute window when the cargo scanners are down." 12 minutes, repeated. "That's not much time." "It's enough to undock and clear the station's immediate space," said. "Once you're past the perimeter, they can't force you back without starting a diplomatic incident." "Where would we take her?" asked. "There's a human colony world called New Haven," said. "It's known for accepting refugees, but here's the problem, they could demand her return. Station law says she's their citizen." Felt her hope dying. "Then it will not work, they will take me back." "Unless," a new voice said from the doorway, "you request official asylum." They all turned. A man in a formal uniform stood there, his shoulders showing captain's insignia. He had gray hair and an air of authority. "Captain," said, standing quickly, "I didn't know you were." "Officers, reports about this situation have reached human diplomatic channels," Captain said, stepping inside. "I command the diplomatic vessel Harmony. We've been monitoring the situation." He looked at with kind eyes. "Young lady, if you request asylum under human protection, we can legally shield you. But I need to be honest, this will cause problems. They will not accept it quietly." "Problems how big?" asked. "They might end trade agreements. They might make diplomatic threats. They might even demand the station commander prevent your departure by force." Captain sat down at the table. "This is not a small thing we're talking about. It could affect human relations across multiple systems." Felt sick. "Then you should not help me. I am not worth causing such trouble." "That's exactly the wrong way to think about it," Captain said firmly. "The question is not whether you're worth it. The question is whether we, as humans, are willing to stand up for what we believe is right, even when it's difficult. Our entire history is about making those hard choices," added. "Sometimes too late, sometimes too slowly, but we try to do better." Pulled up more data. "If we go with the asylum route, here's how it would work. Captain's ship would need to be present. When board's vessel, she would immediately transfer to the Harmony. The captain would officially accept her asylum request in front of witnesses. They would demand a hearing," Captain said. "They'd argue that we're interfering with their internal affairs. We'd argue that sentient rights supersede cultural practices. It would get messy." "What if they attack?" asked quietly. "Then we defend ourselves," Captain said. "The Harmony is a diplomatic vessel, but she's armed. However, I don't think it will come to that. They are rigid, but they're not stupid. They won't start a war over one person." "Unless they think they can win," muttered. Looked at all of them, these humans who barely knew her. Captain could lose his position, could lose her job, and could be banned from the station forever. and they were willing to risk all of it. "I do not understand," said. "Why do you care so much? In society, the individual means nothing. Only the whole matters. What I want, what I feel, it is not important." Leaned forward. "That's where our species are different. We believe that societies are made of individuals. If you treat individuals badly, you have a bad society. Protecting one person's rights protects everyone's rights." "We learned this the hard way," Captain said. "Through centuries of mistakes, wars, genocides, oppression, we finally understood that the strength of a civilization is measured by how it treats its weakest members, not its strongest." "You are asking me to decide," said slowly, "to choose my freedom even if it causes problems." "Yes," Captain said, "we can't force you. This has to be your choice." Thought about the last 5 years. The hunger, the beatings, the loneliness. She thought about sleeping in cold storage bays, about being invisible to her own people. She thought about Elder's cold eyes and fists. Then she thought about sharing his food, teaching her about engines. These humans treating her like she mattered, like she was a person, not a mistake. "I choose freedom," said. Her voice was quiet but certain. "I choose to go with you." Captain nodded. "Then we do this properly. I'll file the official asylum request with Station Command in 2 days. That gives us time to prepare. Have your ship ready to dock with the Harmony at short notice. I'll need all your documentation of the abuse." "What about the?" asked. "They'll find out before we can move." "Let them," Captain said. "Let them make their threats. Let them show the other species on this station what they really are. Sometimes the best way to fight injustice is to make it visible." Stood. "I need to get back to my shift before anyone notices I'm gone, but I'll be ready when the time comes." Captain also rose. "I'll contact you when the asylum papers are filed. Stay safe until then." He looked at. "You're making a brave choice, young lady. Many people never get the chance to choose their own path. Don't waste it." After they left, made more coffee, sat beside on the couch. "You scared?" asked. "Yes," admitted, "but also excited. Is that strange?" "Not at all," said, bringing mugs over. "Fear and excitement feel similar. Both mean you're about to do something that matters." "What if they are right?" asked quietly. "What if I am defective? What if I am not worth all this trouble?" Took her hand. "Listen to me. Those pale markings on your shell, they're just pigmentation. They don't define who you are. Your worth comes from being a thinking, feeling person. That's true whether you're human or anything else. On Earth," added, "we have a saying, all people are created equal. It took us a long time to really believe that, to act on it, but it's the foundation of everything we've built." Looked at her markings. For 5 years she had hated them. They had been a curse, a sign of her worthlessness. But maybe they were just markings. Maybe she had always been worth something and her people had been wrong. 2 days, she said, then everything changes. Everything changes, agreed. They sat together in the quiet ship, drinking coffee and making plans. Outside, the station continued its usual business. Ships came and went. Aliens traded goods and shared meals. Life went on. But for life was just beginning. The station's central chamber was packed. Had never seen so many beings in one place. Every species that had representatives on the station had sent someone to watch. The room buzzed with translated conversations. Sat between and Captain at a long table. Across from them sat Elder and Ambassador, a diplomat who had arrived from their home world. Behind them stood and 3 other enforcers. The station commander, a Grayskin named, presided over the hearing. His 4 eyes blinked slowly as he reviewed documents on a screen. "This hearing will determine the status of the citizen designated," Commander announced. His voice echoed through translation devices. "The humans have filed for asylum on her behalf. The contest this. Both sides will present their cases." Ambassador stood first. He was larger than Elder, with darker shell colors that marked him as high caste. His voice was smooth and reasonable. "Commander, honored observers, this is a simple matter being complicated by human emotionalism," began. "Was born in the colony on this station. She is, by all laws, our citizen. To remove her against wishes sets a dangerous precedent." He activated a holographic display showing the station's many species. "Every civilization here has its own customs, its own ways. Some might seem strange or harsh to others, but we respect each other's sovereignty. The humans are suggesting that their values should override ours, that they know better than we do how to manage our own people." Murmurs rippled through the chamber. Several alien representatives nodded, was making a strong point. Cultural interference was a sensitive topic. "If humans can take our citizens," continued, "what stops them from taking yours? Where does this intervention end? Today it is one. Tomorrow it could be your people, your customs under attack. We must stand together against this overreach." He sat down. Elder nodded in approval, felt hope slipping away. The argument made sense. Other species would not want humans interfering with their ways. Captain stood. Beside him was a human lawyer who had arrived on the Harmony, was young but had sharp eyes. "Commander, we're not here to debate cultural relativism," said. "We're here because a sentient being has asked for protection from systematic abuse. May I question the petitioner?" Commander considered. "Proceed." Turn 2, his expression was gentle. "Can you tell this chamber how you have been treated by your people?" His mouth went dry. Every in the room was staring at her. Elder's face showed cold hatred, but squeezed her hand under the table. She stood on shaking legs. "I have not been allowed to eat from common food supplies for 5 years. I am beaten if I enter communal spaces. I sleep in abandoned storage areas. I am called defective and told I should die quietly." "Why are you treated this way?" asked. "Because of these," gestured to her pale markings. "In culture, such markings indicate genetic weakness. I am considered unworthy of basic dignity." "Have you ever been violent, committed crimes?" "No." "Are you mentally incapable of caring for yourself?" "No." "So you are being punished solely for how you were born?" "Yes." Turn to face the chamber. The claim this is internal cultural business, but there is a principle that supersedes cultural practice, the principle that all sentient beings have inherent worth, that systematic abuse based on birth characteristics is not culture, it is oppression. "Emotional rhetoric," Ambassador said dismissively. "Every species has hierarchy, every species makes distinctions." "Perhaps," said, "but here's the interesting part." He activated his own display. Genetic data filled the screen. "We've analyzed genetic structure. Those pale markings, they're not a defect. They're actually a rare adaptation that makes more resistant to cosmic radiation. It's not a weakness, it's a strength." Shocked silence filled the chamber. The delegation froze. "You're lying," Elder said flatly. "The data is here for anyone to verify," said. "The truth is simple. Your people don't exile these individuals because they're weak. You exile them because they're different, and difference threatens your rigid hierarchy." Ambassador stood quickly. "This is irrelevant, is our citizen. She belongs to us." "She belongs to herself," Captain said, also rising, "and she has asked for our protection." "Then you are thieves and liars," Elder said, "hiding behind pretty words while stealing our property." "Property," stood now, his face flushed with anger. "She's not property, she's a person." "Enough," Commander said, "this hearing is." "If you grant this asylum," Ambassador interrupted, "then we'll consider it an act of war. We will sever all trade agreements. We will consider any human presence in space as hostile." The chamber erupted in shocked conversations. War was a serious threat. The economic impact would be enormous. "You would start a war," Captain said slowly, "over one girl's freedom." "We will not allow our sovereignty to be violated," said coldly. Then we're done talking. Elder turned to the enforcers. Activate the warship. Through the chamber's windows, everyone could see a military ship power up. Its weapons systems came online, targeting indicators locking onto the Harmony. "This is madness," Commander said. "You cannot fire weapons at." "We will do what we must," Ambassador said. "Return or face consequences." Captain's jaw tightened. He touched his communication device. All Harmony crew battle stations, shields up. Stood frozen. This was her fault. She had caused this. Humans might die because of her. "Stand down," she said quietly. Everyone turned to look at her. "I will go back. I will not allow war because of me." "No," said firmly. "Absolutely not." "He is right," Captain said. "We don't negotiate with threats." "But people will die." "Not if I can help it," ran from the chamber. Through the windows, they watched his small cargo ship undock. It maneuvered between the warship and the Harmony. On all communication channels, his voice broadcast clearly. "If you want to start a war over one girl's freedom, you'll have to go through me first." His ship was tiny compared to the warship. It had no weapons, no shields worth mentioning. But there it floated, a barrier between the two larger vessels. "This is suicide," Ambassador said, but he looked uncertain for the first time. Then another ship joins. It was personal shuttle, then security patrol craft, then more ships, human traders, human workers, all positioning themselves as shields. "You'll have to destroy us all," his voice came over the channel. The chamber was silent. Everyone watched the standoff. The warship did not fire. Then something unexpected happened. A ship from another species, the crystalline, joined the human blockade. Then a ship from the furry. Then more. Aliens who had watched testimony, who had heard evidence. "The galaxy is watching," Captain said quietly to Ambassador. "Fire on us, and you fire on them all. Can your people afford to be enemies with everyone?" Ambassador's face showed conflict. Elder looked furious. But the math was simple. They could not fight everyone, not over this. Finally spoke. "We will withdraw our ships, but this is not over. We will remember this insult." "Remember it well," Captain said. "Remember the day the galaxy told you that cruelty does not equal strength." The delegation left. Their warship powered down and moved away from the station. In the chamber, beings from dozens of species began talking at once. Commander looked exhausted. "The asylum is granted, is under human protection. This hearing is closed." Could barely believe it, free. She was actually free. Returned to the chamber, breathless from running. "Did we win?" "We won," Captain said, smiling. "Thanks to your insane stunt." "It worked, didn't it?" grinned. Looked at all of them. The humans who had risked everything. The other aliens who had joined them. She had never imagined such a thing was possible. "Thank you," she whispered, "all of you." "That's what friends do," said, appearing in the doorway. "They stand up for each other." Outside, ships were dispersing, returning to their usual business. The crisis had passed, but everything had changed. 3 months later stood in a garden under a yellow sun. Real plants grew from real soil, not hydroponics. The air smelled like flowers, a scent she had never known on the metal station. Above her, clouds drifted across a blue sky. New Haven was beautiful in a way that hurt. After years in gray corridors and cold storage bays, all this color and light felt overwhelming. But she was learning to accept it, learning that she deserved beautiful things. A voice called across the garden. It was a human woman who worked as a settlement coordinator. She waved from a pathway. "Your appointment with Dr. Bora is in 10 minutes." Walked through the garden carefully. She still expected someone to push her away, to tell her she did not belong. But people here just smiled and nodded as she passed. Some even said hello. The medical center was a low building surrounded by trees. Dr. Bora waited in her office, a room filled with plants and soft furniture. She was studying data on multiple screens. "Come in," Dr. Bora said warmly. "How are you feeling today?" Good said it was true. The nightmares came less often now. The fear was fading. "I have some news," Dr. Bora said. "We've been monitoring communications from other stations. 3 other with markings like yours have asked for help. They heard about your case and realized they didn't have to accept their treatment." His hearts raced. 3 others like me. "Like you," Dr. Bora confirmed. "There may be more. We're setting up a network to help them escape, if they want to." "Are they coming here?" "One is. The other 2 are going to different colony worlds, but we're creating connections between you all, so you're not alone." Dr. Bora smiled. "You started something. By being brave enough to choose freedom, you gave others hope." After the appointment, walked to the spaceport. Ship was scheduled to arrive today. He had been on a supply run to a nearby system, had stayed on New Haven, taking a job with the colony's engineering department. The ship landed with a familiar whine of engines. The cargo ramp lowered and walked out, carrying a large crate. When he saw, his face lit up. "Hey, how's my favorite refugee?" he said, setting down the crate. "I am good. Dr. Bora says others are escaping now because of what happened." "That's amazing," said. "See, one person can make a difference." They walked toward the colony center together. New Haven had grown in 3 months. More buildings, more people. Many were refugees from various species, all finding safety here. "How was the supply run?" asked. "Interesting. I've been getting requests from other aliens who want transport off hostile worlds. Apparently, I'm developing a reputation as the pilot who helps outcasts." He grinned. "Not bad for a job description." At the colony center was waiting with. The security officer had transferred to New Haven after the incident. She said the station felt too constrained after seeing what real justice looked like. "There she is," said, "ready for the ceremony." Had forgotten. Today was the official day she would receive human protected status. It was not just asylum anymore. It was citizenship in a sense, membership in the human community of colonies. The ceremony was small but meaningful. Captain had traveled from his ship to attend. He presented with a data pad containing her official documents. "This tablet also has something else," said, activating it. "Messages from all over the galaxy." The screen filled with text, images, video clips. Messages from beings had never met. A thanked her for inspiring his daughter. A described how her case made them question their own traditions. A human child sent a drawing of with the words, "You are brave," written in careful letters. Tears filled his eyes. They did not cry, but she was learning that showing emotion was not weakness. It was being alive. "So many," she whispered. "Your story spread," Captain explained. "News services across multiple systems covered the hearing. You became a symbol, proof that standing up to injustice matters." After the ceremony, the small group gathered in ship for a meal. It had become a tradition. Just the 5 of them, sharing food and stories. "I have a question," said as they ate. "Something I have been thinking about for weeks." Shoot said. "Why did you help me that first day on the station? You had nothing to gain. You risked problems with the why." Was quiet for a moment. "You know, I've thought about that too, I think. It's because of what we learned as a species. Humans spent thousands of years being cruel to each other. We divided ourselves by every possible difference. Race, religion, nationality, whatever we could find. And we nearly destroyed ourselves because of it," added, "multiple times." "Right," continued. "But we finally figured something out. Real strength isn't about being the biggest or the strongest or the most pure. Real strength is about choosing to help someone even when it's hard, even when it costs you something." "It is the opposite of what the teach," said. "Exactly," Captain said. "And look at the results. They are powerful, but they're alone. They have allies out of fear or profit, not loyalty. But humans, we build coalitions. Other species join us because they see how we act, what we stand for." Remember those ships that joined the blockade, said. Those weren't our allies. They were just beings who saw the right thing to do and chose to do it. That's what compassion creates. Community. Looked at her pale markings, visible on her arms. For so long I thought these made me worthless, that they were right about me. They were wrong about everything, said firmly. Those markings are part of who you are. They're beautiful, and more importantly, they're just markings. Your worth comes from being you, not from how you look. What will you do now? Asked. You have freedom. What do you want to do with it? Considered, she had been thinking about this question for weeks. Dr. Bora said there are other like me, hiding, afraid. I want to help them, maybe work with the network she is building. That's perfect, Captain said. You understand what they're going through better than anyone. And I want to learn, continued. Engineering like teaches, and piloting like, I want to know everything I was never allowed to learn. You've got time, said. That's the beautiful thing about freedom. You get to decide your own path. As the evening continued, they talked and laughed. Outside, the sun set over New Haven, painting the sky in colors was still learning names for. Orange, pink, purple, beautiful. Later stood alone in the garden again. The stars were coming out. Somewhere up there was the trading station, the colony, the life she had left behind. She did not miss it, not even a little. Beautiful night, a voice said, had followed her outside. It is, agreed. I have been meaning to ask you something. That day on the station when you first offered me food, what did you see when you looked at me? Thought about it? I saw someone who needed help, someone who deserved better than they were getting. I saw a person, just a person who deserved kindness. Not a defective. Never that, just. She looked at the stars again. The belief the universe is harsh, that only the strong survive, that compassion is weakness that evolution should eliminate. And humans believe the opposite, said. We think compassion is what makes us strong, that helping each other is how we survive. I guess time will tell which philosophy works better. I think humans are right, said. They are powerful, but you are stronger, because you do not fear kindness, you embrace it. Well, we try, said with a smile. We're not perfect, we still mess up, but we keep trying to do better. That is all anyone can do, said. Try to be better than yesterday. They stood together in comfortable silence, watching the stars. Tomorrow would start her studies. She would work with Dr. Bora's network. She would help other outcasts find freedom. She would build a life that was truly hers. For the first time since her markings had appeared 5 years ago, felt something she had never felt before. She felt like she belonged, not because someone granted her permission, but because she claimed it for herself. The pale markings on her shell caught the moonlight, gleaming like frost. They were part of her story now. Not a curse, but a reminder. A reminder that she had survived, that she had found friends who saw her worth when her own people did not. That she had learned the most important lesson humans had to teach, that every life has value, that compassion is not weakness, that standing up for someone who cannot stand up for themselves is the highest form of strength. The stars shone above. The garden rustled in the gentle wind, and smiled, knowing that tomorrow was hers to choose. Free at last,